Is bigger always better? I asked my wife that question and she said no. Sometimes small things are much better than bigger things. In fact, sometimes things are too big and it makes them really hard to deal with and, kind of dangerous. When things go wrong and they break, it's really expensive to fix them. And I said, we're talking about quadcopters, right? And she said, yeah, we are. And that's why I showed her this, the Catalyst Machineworks Merica 9-inch. Because sometimes the 13 inches of a beast class is too much and you want something a little more manageable. 9 inches. It's the perfect size. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. The Catalyst Machineworks Merica 9-inch was loaned to me by Catalyst Machineworks for this review. This is actually Neil Whiteley's personal bird, and I'll be sending it back to him after the review. I've not received any money or other compensation in exchange for this video, and no one has had any approval or control over the contents of the video. Oh, well, let's see how this 9-inch Merica handles a little freestyle, and we're not going to disadvantage it too much. We've come to this location, which is basically a big wide open parking lot with some trees, so it should be able to stretch its legs. Now, I'd be lying if I said that the speed and power of the Catalyst Machineworks Merica 9-inch was like not exciting. It's really fun to fly a big quad with lots of power, but I immediately could tell that sort of raw freestyle is just not what this quad is good at, and that shouldn't really be a surprise. That's not what it's designed for, but obviously the first thing I did was I go and freestyle it. The size and weight of the 9-inch, despite its power, it just doesn't have the agility of a 5-inch. And that means when you start putting it into tighter environments, you just don't feel like you have the confidence that you're going to be able to get out of them without crashing. Speaking of crashing, the bigger the quad, the worse it crashes. That's always true. I'll throw a 5-inch quad into this asphalt repeatedly, get back up, change a prop maybe, and keep flying. A 9-inch like this is not going to crash gracefully, although it must be said it's going to crash 1,000 times more gracefully than the 13-inch Beast class that I built. Link in the video description if you want to see more about the biggest quad I've ever built. So the 9-inch is not ideal for raw freestyle in terms of its crashability and its maneuverability. Another place where it's not ideal is the footage that you get. Do you see all these vibrations? I specifically didn't use Hypersmooth or Real Steady Go to stabilize this, even though in a professional context you totally would, and it would totally clean this up. But I wanted to see what kind of vibration and resonance we got, and these props are not as well balanced as 5-inch props, and because they're larger, they need to be better balanced to avoid getting a lot of vibration. And a larger frame like this is going to have more issues with resonance. You can see that the raw footage from this GoPro is, well, I'm not sure I would go so far as to say it's totally unusable, but certainly in a professional context, you wouldn't use it. So I just feel like this is not the ideal place for this quad. And that's why I've come here to chase some freaking race cars. Here's why this is the perfect location to test the capabilities of the Catalyst Machineworks Merica 9-inch. Because these cars on this straight top out at between, let's say, 85 to 110 miles an hour, depending on how fast the car is. And that's just fast enough that it's going to make a 5-inch mini quad struggle. They can go that fast, but you got to really get high in the throttle, and it just kills their battery. The theory is that this guy with its larger props and its much larger battery is going to do a much better job chasing them, but still not be so big and heavy that it's not going to be able to turn and keep up. We're going to find out if it's true. So here we go in with the 5-inch, and I'm going to show you right from the beginning of the flight, because you can see I've got a fully charged battery and it is immediately down to 22 volts. Just trying to keep up with this guy is hammering this battery. It takes me a minute actually to get dialed in to how high in the throttle I need to be in order to keep up. And you're gonna see on this straight, I'm not real close to him because I'm not Johnny FPV, but I am tracking him. My speed is matching his, and I'm at like 65% throttle just to keep up in the straights, and the battery's feeling it. Now we're barely a few minutes into the flight and we're at 21.9, 22 volts. It's just sagging and getting hit hard.
I smell smoke. I smell tire. He's done.
Looks like he dropped some oil because the other guy slid.
Yeah, I smelled something.
And after a couple laps, here comes out another car, and I'm ready to go, but my battery has basically had it. I'm hitting 3.5 volts per cell. I don't feel safe continuing to push it, because if it sags out or drops the cell, I'm gonna fall on the track. We got a total of about 2.5 minutes of chasing total, and then I had to come in for more. And man, you only get so many laps here. These guys are only gonna do so many laps before they're done. Every time I have to come back in and change the battery, I'm just losing the opportunity to get some good footage. It's really freaking annoying.
There it is.
So now let's take the Merica 9-inch out and see how it does.
Oh yeah, we got enough speed now. 4.0 volts, baby. Oh, he's swinging wide. Oh yeah, I can keep him on the straight now. .0, baby. I'm gonna be out here for a minute. Did I touch the ground? I might have touched the ground.
And finally, we get to see the Merica 9-inch in its element. In just about every way, it's better than the 5-inch for this type of application. It's much lower in the throttle. We're down around 40-45% throttle, as opposed to up in the 60-65-70% throttle range. And that means you are not hitting the battery as hard. Well, it's a much larger battery. But also, you have more reserve in your power. When you're running at 65-70% throttle on a 5-inch, if you need to make a correction, you have almost nothing left. Whereas with the 9-inch, you have something left to make those corrections if you need to. But more fundamentally, the fact that it can fly at this speed for extended periods of time means that I could stay out here for this car's entire run until he decided to come in. And that gave me the time to figure out how this driver was driving, to anticipate what he was going to do and set up the shot in a better way than if I got 2 or 3 laps and then blah, my battery's dead and I just got to come back in, and now by the time I get back out there, somebody else is on the track. When I was flying with the 5-inch, I just felt like I was just getting warmed up and ready to start getting some good shots, and I had to go back because my battery was dead. And with the 9-inch, I flew this thing for 4.5 minutes and it wasn't done. The battery was still at like 3.8 volts per cell. I could probably, I would guess, have done about 8 minutes of this high speed, 70, 80, 90 mile an hour flying without having to come back in.
Oh, yeah,
It was so freaking good. Oh, and by the way, I don't know what's different about this day versus the freestyle day, but the footage for the GoPro actually looks pretty decent too. I don't know, I didn't do anything different with it. It was the exact same camera, the exact same quad, and the exact same settings on the camera, but this actually doesn't look super jittery, so.
It's coming in. 3.8 volts. I'm still good. Is somebody else going out? No, okay, I'll bring it in. Woo, son. Yeah, that had more than enough speed and time.
Try with the faster car.
What's that?
You gotta try with the faster car.
That wasn't a super fast car, was it?
No.
He was a little slow.
So that brings us to the end of the video, and as always, the question, should you buy it? And that question is going to depend on why specifically you want a quad like this. Because for a lot of applications, a 5-inch mini quad is going to do the job. For example, I mean, like for freestyle and racing, 5-inch is a pretty sweet place to be. For chasing drift cars, we've seen so much great drift car footage made by people running GoPros on 5-inch rigs. And the difference between like a drift car and what I was trying to do with this 9-inch Merica is the speed. I think that this quad is ideal for a situation where you need high speed for extended times. Or, I mean, you could use this to chase drift cars, sure. You'll be going sort of medium speed for an even longer time. But then you start to get into a situation where maybe the agility and the lower risk and lower cost if you crash of a smaller quad starts to seem appealing. If you can get the job done with a $300 5-inch quad, why build something like this? But if you do need that extended speed and extended flight time, then something like this Merica 9-inch could be ideal. But there is a limitation. This carries GoPros. Now, if that's not a limitation for you, more power to you. But by the time you start spending the kind of money that you're spending to build a rig like this, you're maybe getting into the category where you're looking at cameras like the Red Komodo, like the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema, and then this is not going to do it. These motors are just not powerful enough. These props are not big enough to carry those heavier cameras. You're going to be looking at a Cinelifter. So I think that the audience for something like the Merica 9-inch is somewhat limited. It's going to be someone who has the money to spend on a bigger rig like this, who really wants that longer flight time that you can't get with a 5-inch, but who is still shooting with a GoPro. So like you're mostly shooting for YouTube or maybe some commercials, but you haven't stepped up to the level where you're flying like a real cinema camera. If that's you, then there are links down in the video description where you can pick up this quadcopter, and they are affiliate links. And what that means is that if you click that link and then you make any purchase from the affiliated vendor, buy this, buy something else, it doesn't really matter. Just click the link, go fill up your shopping cart, check out. I get a small commission, and it's an easy way for you to support the work I do here, and it doesn't cost you anything. What do you think of this guy? Are you super psyched about this? Are you the kind of person who just wants one of these to rip around and make an awesome noise and like fly freestyle with? Are you like a semi-pro who still flies GoPros and sees this fitting into your repertoire? I'd like to, or maybe you just like, no, there's no point, I'm not interested. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments. I'm always interested to hear what you guys think of the products I review, whether you agree or disagree with me. Thanks for watching. Happy flying. What are you doing in here? The least you could do is subscribe or join my Patreon or like just here's another video I picked out for you. Jeez.